Right, so here we are making a mould. This is a separate piece because it just doesn't work to do it in one piece, as it just won't come out easily. So we've got this little section thing here that we're making, which will bolt in later. And I am just fiberglassing these little locators. I'm using some tissue here because normally when we're making fiberglass products, we'll use a little bit of bog. But when we're moulding though, we don't want to use bog in moulds because it just ends up falling out after a while. So we use tissue because it's a lot stronger. Well, it's a bit stronger anyway, not a heap stronger. So I'm just putting some tissue over the spots that would normally require bog. The reason we use tissue is because it's very fine and it's very malleable. It'll curve to sort of almost any shape. And then I'm going to use the tissue over the top of this and create this section here. You can see how thin this is. It's very flexible. You can change to sort of any shape you need. Once we've finished making this little piece, then we're going to put some ribbing in the mould just to give it support while it's on the bonnet, and that'll keep it in shape. The head torch really shows up any imperfections, so I'm able to see things that I normally can't see because it sort of highlights areas in the mould that I'm working. It's really important to get these imperfections out because we're working on a mould. If we have imperfections in the mould, it's going to transfer to the part, and every part we make out of the mould will have those imperfections in it. So that's why we're very fussy when we're making moulds. All our moulds get made in a different colour other than black because we make all our parts in black. And if you have your moulds in black and the parts in black, you can't see where you've been when you apply gel coat. So that's why we do that. We steer away from white too. The odd customer will want something made in white. And there we have it. So this is a slipper mould. We call this a slipper mould because it's actually slipping over the top of the other mould. So we've prepped here, and this bit will bolt against the other mould. This bit slips over the top of the other mould. So it's not something we do very often, but occasionally it works because you can slip the mould out without having something for it to catch on. That's why we use a slipper mould. Now I'm going 225 next because it's very fine. It's the next layer, and it's going to start to thicken it up so that we can build up to a normal thickness type matting, which should be 450 and then maybe 600 just to get to the desired thickness. The 225 is fantastic because it curves to most shapes. It's sort of the next step up from tissue. So for a bonnet mould like this, we'll start with tissue on the areas which require tissue, and then we'll move up to 225. We'll just do one layer of 225, and then we'll go to 450, and we'll often put about between 4 and 6 layers of 450 on a mould, and we'll just go one layer at a time, letting it cure, giving it a day in between for it just to settle, and we find that gives the best, most truest, accurate parts. If you glass it all at the same time, then it wants to pull all in the same directions, and it tends to pull out of shape a lot more.